Coming up on West Side Stories, we see how one Grand Valley State University organization is staying up all night to help finish the fight against cancer.
And how Eastern Michigan University's athletic department faces budget cuts and how this affects other universities like GVSU.
We also talk to residents living in off-campus apartments near GVSU who are suffering from high utility bills.
And finally, we met up with a 79-year-old powerlifter. All that and more next on West Side Stories.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.
Welcome to West Side Stories. I'm Reagan Blissett.
And I'm Kelly Hubbard.
Every year around this time, Relay for Life comes to town to fight a killer.
According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cancer is the second leading cause of death in the United States. In this next story, reporter Jessica Kroll reports on a student club and their work to raise money for cancer research.
In 2018 alone, there will be nearly 2 million cancer cases and over 600,000 cancer deaths. But at Grand Valley State University, one campus club is staying up all night to finish the fight at the Relay for Life event.
Cancer sucks. And here at Relay, we do everything and anything we can to make it suck the least amount for patients. And no matter what your story is and what part you had in a cancer journey, whether you were a survivor or a caregiver or just a friendly hand or a shoulder to lean on, there's always definitely a place for you to fit in here at Relay.
Anna Organic is the vice president of Colleges Against Cancer. She is also a two-time cancer survivor in her 12th year of remission.
I am a two-time cancer survivor of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. I was diagnosed when I was 7 after they had found 3 tumors, one the size of a softball on top of my heart and two a little bit smaller on the back of my heart. They had ended up crushing one of my lungs, so I had actually, I couldn't breathe, and so that's how they found it.
She joined Colleges Against Cancer to fight back at the disease and to be supportive of those who are currently fighting. The club has been on GVSU's campus since 2002. For 12 hours on April 6th, Colleges Against Cancer hosted Relay for Life, an event to raise money for the American Cancer Society and for the community to come together and fight against cancer. This year, over $94,000 has been raised. Of that $94,000, GVSU sorority Alpha Sigma Tau has raised $15,000 for their local philanthropy, the American Cancer Society.
We adopted this philanthropy a few years ago when one of our sisters, her mom, passed away from cancer. So it really hit home that one of our sisters was affected by this. All the sisters, they have a baseline goal of about $40, but there's been so many sisters that have gone above and beyond.
The night's events included a dinner for cancer survivors, a luminaria ceremony, and a live band, among many fundraisers, and of course, walking. Organic says one of her favorite parts about Relay is the luminaria ceremony.
I love to watch everyone come together and give their respects to the ones that have been lost to the battle and just walk in quiet and let people mourn or be just emotional. It's I think it brings out the most feelings when we're at Relay, and it really truly draws in the point of us being there.
Organic has been cancer-free for 11 years, but she says she still deals with cancer every day. That's why she changed her college path to something that will allow her to be on the front line when others are in need of help.
My dream is to be working in family medicine and to be that support when someone has to find an oncologist and things like that. I want to be part of the generation that ends cancer.
For West Side Stories in Allendale, I'm Jessica Kroll.
Colleges Against Cancer President Paige McCannon says the money raised by Relay for Life is distributed to the American Cancer Society nationally, but some of the money stays local to help West Michigan cancer patients.
Late last month, Eastern Michigan University went public with their decision to cut 4 varsity teams from their athletic program. West Side Stories reporter Sam Schefferman and Jake O'Donnell have more on this story and how it might affect Grand Valley State University.
unfortunately, the university is making tough decisions. We're right-sizing the budget and making budget cuts, and that includes us. And so I was tasked to, cut over $2 million from our athletic budget.
The cuts included women's tennis, men's wrestling, men's swimming and diving, as well as women's softball. The Associate Athletic Director of Media Relations, Greg Steiner, says that these budget cuts were due to an already established budget cut from the university. Steiner says, quote, "The university asked athletics to reduce its budget by $2 million for fiscal year 2019 and beyond. The university considered many factors, including program cost, athletic facilities, and a comparison of sports sponsored by Mid-American Conference schools." When the news was first released, Scott Weatherby, EMU athletic director, said that the school had no intention of dropping down to Division II.
Well, I wish he would have paused a moment before he made that statement.
What athletic director Carrie Becker is talking about is the comments made by Weatherby after the conference regarding GVSU. He said, quote, "If you are going to drop down to Division II, is that the reputation we want? We compare ourselves to a Western Michigan, a Central Michigan, a Toledo, and Bowling Green. Do we want to all of a sudden compare ourselves with Oakland, Saginaw Valley, or Grand Valley? Those are obviously questions the president and board said no, we don't." Becker says it's something she won't take lightly, but she understands where he's coming from.
And it's one of those things that, you don't take lightly, but you do realize he was coming from a place that he's going through a tough time. He had to tell a bunch of student athletes that their careers were over at Eastern Michigan, and then he has to face lots of questions about their future. And certainly when it comes to the cost of athletics that's under fire, the question is always going to come up about playing in a different division that has a different philosophy in terms of the amount that has to be spent, in terms of scholarshiping and those types of things. So, it's to be compared to them. We don't compare ourselves to Eastern Michigan academically or athletically, and nor really does anybody when it comes to those two divisions. So he didn't say anything out of the ordinary, just kind of how it came out. I think maybe he got it taken out of context, or like I said, exploded into a mountain that was a molehill.
Deputy Director of Athletics Doug Lipinski said, "It is unfortunate that Scott referenced GVSU in his comments during his MLive interview about EMU athletics. The NCAA classification of a school is not about branding, it's about what is best for the health of the university and its students. Because we are Division II, our university brand is strong. With 25,000 plus students, more than 115,000 alumni, and GVSU is not even 60 years old as an institution." In response to Weatherby's statement, GVSU tennis player Madison Ballard said that she felt he was rude with his comments and thinks that he didn't really take care of the people he said he would.
No, I just think that it was pretty ignorant that they were thinking that it was okay to rather cut 100 teams than to just go from D2 to D1, obviously, or D1 to D2. Obviously, there's going to be other politics going on, but other than that, I think that guy who did the interview was pretty ignorant and not very considerate of his student athletes and the people he said he was going to take care of.
Ballard also says that GVSU athletes should not worry about budget cuts. However, she said if they were to happen, the school would need to distribute funds wisely.
Honestly, I don't think we should be as worried because they have to pay more money to be a part of D1. And since we have so many students and being only D2, we don't have to pay as much, but cuts are going to come whether or not we like it or not. So we just have to compensate at other sports and our sport.
Lipinski also says, quote, "We are very diligent in our approach with our funding from the university. We have great external partnerships that assist in generating revenue so that we are less of a burden on the university budget." GVSU has a very accomplished athletic program, and Carrie Becker says she stands by it 100%, and that all schools need to look at athletics from a broader perspective.
I think the bigger question I think we need to ask ourselves is the role of athletics within the institution. How does it fit to help us achieve the mission of the university? And I think that's the question Eastern Michigan probably went through and asked themselves in terms of the level they play at. So we need to talk about the Division II level. They decided long ago that the Division I level is what they wanted to play at. And then it's for them to decide if it aligns with their mission. But we're in a world of competitive athletics, and sometimes that just gets the juices flowing. So it becomes almost a fun thing. And like I said, we didn't have to say anything. Everybody else said it for us, and we're just happy to be where we're at Grand Valley.
Steiner says that the student athletes of Eastern Michigan University are the athletic department's top priority. He said that the scholarships of those affected will still be honored if the students decide to stay at EMU. For those deciding to transfer, Steiner says that the university remains committed to helping them during the transfer process. Reporting from Allendale, I'm Jake O'Donnell.
The GVSU Athletic Department says there are no plans to cut sports programs at Grand Valley State University.
Spring is officially here, and most West Michigan residents would agree it's long overdue. Here's why. Cold weather means high heating bills. Some area residents are complaining that their heating bills are outrageously high this winter. West Side Stories reporter Reagan Blissett has more.
Down the road from Grand Valley State University, residents at Meadows Crossing Apartments never usually pay more than $50 maximum for utility bills. However, across the street, you might hear a different story. Copper Beach Apartments were built in 2007. Located off 48th Ave in Allendale, a 12-month installment lease is $475. The rent is average for off-campus living. However, we talked to several residents who have complained about very high utility bills.
My consumers' bills are through the roof, especially for this place. Here we live in a 650 square foot apartment and we paid $300 2 months ago. We live in 650 square feet and there's just 2 of us, and so it's kind of really outrageous.
Copper Beach is the same as Evolve Student Living and the Lodge Apartments, running off electric heat instead of natural gas. And electric heat is more expensive than gas.
As you can see, there's one of the baseboard heats. And then if we come over here, here is our air conditioner for the whole apartment. And then we have another baseboard heat. And then if we come into the bedroom, we just have one more baseboard heat. And that's all the heat that we have for this house.
To save money, Bressman uses a space heater instead of relying on Copper's heat. Bressman isn't the only Copper resident to experience high utility bills. Jay Depew lives in a 2,000 square foot, 3-bedroom townhome. His highest bill cost him and his roommates over $500.
It's always cold in here. You know, I wear a coat when I am up in my room studying, playing video games, because in my room, it ranges from like 52 to 58 degrees.
Depew's highest bill took place in January. Consumers Energy spokesperson Roger Morgenstern says there is a possible explanation to why.
One of the challenges that we found actually across the state in primarily January bills, we had a very cold late December, and then our billing cycles run 28 to 35 days. The January bill was 35 days worth of electricity.
Morgenstern looked over Depew's bills and noticed that their daily usage was at $14. Typically, it's between $3 to $4.
Boy, this is high.
Depew and his roommates think something seems off about their bills. When asking Copper and consumers for answers, they were told it's because they live at the end of the apartment structure.
So if you're on an end unit and 2 or 3 of your walls are then exposed to the elements, it's going to take more energy for your furnace or however your hot water heat, however it's set up to maintain that temperature.
I mean, they could definitely try to fix the insulation issue or do like flat rates or something. So, because I mean, we're all in college, you know, we can't afford paying these bills on top of rent.
Copper Beach did decline an on-camera interview. However, they do recommend students to try to be as conservative as possible, as well as remember they're trying to heat up a 2,000 square foot townhome. Morgenstern advises residents to check for drafts in their windows and doors, close their curtains, and consider installing plastic installation kits. Not all residents are seeing a rise in utility bills. Depew's sister Taylor lives in Meadows Crossing's apartment, and her bills do not compare to her brother's.
Our consumers each month, we each pay around $25 to $35, and we keep our thermostat set to 68 to 70, and it's on auto. So it goes on whenever it needs to, and it keeps our place comfortable. And so each month, yeah, we never pay more than like $130.
The very first piece when we designed Meadows was we put the furnace and the water heater dead center in the unit. So all the runs to the various rooms are short. So there's a very little loss of heat when it's traveling from point A to point B.
Next year, Meadows will be implementing a flat rate utility fee of $49. Unlike copper, they have natural gas heating.
We have both gas and electric. Our water heaters and furnaces are natural gas fired appliances, and natural gas is, I think everybody knows, is far cheaper than electricity. And so the efficiencies of having natural gas are here at Meadows.
Copper Beach spokesperson Mark Evans says there are no foreseeable plans to switch from electric heat to gas heat. Reporting for West Side Stories in Allendale, I'm Reagan Blissett.
Evans says they haven't decided whether or not to offer a flat rate for utilities. Copper Beach has agreed to Consumers Energy's offer of an on-site energy assessment within the next few weeks.
For many people, going to the gym, it is about staying in shape, but you're about to meet someone who does it for a different reason. Gus Thomas is a powerlifter. The kicker? He's 79 years old. Reporter Coy Wynn has more on one of Michigan's oldest powerlifters.
Gus Thomas is a 79-year-old powerlifter who discovered his passion for weightlifting while he was in the Air Force.
They put me in a room with a guy that was a bodybuilder. His name was Bill Smart. And the first thing he said, I'm going to get you in the gym. And I said, no, you're not. I weighed about 150 pounds. Well, I got bored after a while. And a couple weeks later, I decided I'm going to go to the gym. I can still see his face when I walked in the gym. He was just smiling, and he put me through a workout. And I got hooked.
Thomas continued to train hard while stationed in Greenland. Once he was discharged, Thomas trained on and off, and it wasn't until he met John Pitch that he would train seriously again.
Met Gus a while ago. I actually met his wife at Office Max or Office Depot. It was Office Supplies. I had my Mr. Grand Rapids coat on, and she saw it, and she says, you have to meet my husband. And I went out to the car, met Gus, and we hit it off right away.
Since meeting Pitch, Thomas has stayed motivated training at Maximus Fitness, which is when people encouraged him to become a powerlifter.
And how I got into powerlifting was when I picked up that 405 pounds, I think Ricky was here, and he says, oh, you could break a record. Nah, I don't want that.
At first, Thomas didn't want to be a powerlifter. He just enjoyed working out. But after enough pressure, he decided to compete.
I wound up setting a couple of records.
In Thomas's first ever competition, he broke the deadlift record for his age group at 402.5 pounds. And since becoming a powerlifter, Thomas has been an inspiration to everyone around him.
You know, even the younger guys here look at Gus, and they want to do what Gus can do. I mean, he's an inspiration to everybody, the young guys and older people as well.
Through all of his success in powerlifting, Thomas makes sure it doesn't change who he is.
One person said to me one day, he says, and don't let that go to your head. And I kind of like, okay, will it grow hair? If it won't grow hair, I don't think I need it.
While Thomas appreciates the support he has received since becoming a powerlifter, he believes that his faith has allowed him to keep training.
To be my age and, you know, to have the energy to come in the gym and do the things that I do, it's really not about me. It's about God. He's the one. He's my excuse. He kept me well. He kept me alive. He got me out of a lot of stuff. I call him the greatest garbage picker on earth. You know, because he picked me right out of the garbage, and I'm really thankful. So everything I do, it's to his glory.
Thomas believes that fitness is one of the most important things in someone's life, and for him, he wouldn't know where he would be without it. Reporting for West Side Stories, I'm Coy Wynn.
Thomas is recovering from tendonitis in his right shoulder right now, but he plans to step up his training so he can compete again this fall.
It's time for our weekly look at some events coming up in the greater Grand Rapids area. Check it out. next, we'd like to bring you not one, but two short segments from WGVU Digital Studios. First, The Draft host Patrick Center takes us to Harmony Brewing Company in Grand Rapids. Then it's off to The Salted Cupcake as Order Up reveals the secret to making chocolate cupcakes. Lots of tasty stuff on the way from WGVU Digital Studios.
Roll out the barrels. The song takes on a new meaning here at Harmony Hall. Barry, get out here. What kind of science experiment do you have going on here?
Hey, Patrick. Yeah, this is where we age all of our wood-aged sour beers.
But this is unique. This is different what you have going on here.
Yeah, this is cool.
Mead?
Right, that's right.
Bourbon?
Yep.
White wine?
Yep, these are Chardonnay barrels down here. So each one is going to impart a completely different flavor and do a bunch of different things for our beers. So.
Right, but when you mix them together, what do you get?
That's correct. That's one of the things that makes the wood-aged beers so special is that, you know, each one of these is going to taste completely different, and on their own, they're going to taste great. But when you blend them together, you actually get this fully structured, layered, finished product, which is a whole nother ball game as far as sophistication on a brewery scale. So.
Mead,
it's delicious.
The mead flavor is what?
The mead flavor, you know, it starts off as honey, and then it has just some floral aromatics that come out from that. And so, mead is kind of hard to describe, but you do pick up the mead flavors.
Sweet, right?
Yeah, a little bit of sweet.
Yeah.
Yep. And then bourbon, of course, you get the, you know.
Yeah,
you know. You get
I know what you get.
You get the oak, you get the depth, you get a little bit of, you know, almost like a buttery toffee, you know, in some ways. So, yeah, that's a pretty classic barrel. A lot of people are brewing and aging in bourbon barrels. And then, of course, the Chardonnay barrels. These are the newest of all of these barrels. These are all at least second or third use barrels, but they were made brand new. They aged Chardonnay in them, and then this is the second time anything has been inside of them. So they actually have a pretty strong oak characteristic to them. And they'll bring in some of the tannins and things that you're going to get out of a nice Chardonnay.
You put it together, right? And you get the Old Spot Wild Black Saison.
Black Saison, yeah, that's right. So a Saison, it means seasonal in French, and it is something that was never brewed by brewers. It was actually brewed by farmers. And so it by nature is kind of a wild beer. So that's why it's a fun one to mess around with the aging and the souring and things like that. So
I look forward to tasting that one.
Yeah, we'll have to get you some.
Barry, The Draft. Thanks, man.
Right on.
When I was young, my mom did not love to cook, so I would just make recipes and I was started experimenting. I know when I developed this recipe, I made probably like 30 different cupcake recipes of just chocolate variety. And the thing that makes them so moist is we use soy milk. It's almost a vegan chocolate recipe. So I'll put the soy milk in there, and everything is mixed by hand, so I'm going to use 2 bowls to do this. All right, and then I'm just going to add vinegar, and it's going to sour the soy milk so it makes a nice thick batter. When that's all done, we're going to add our sugar to each bowl. And then I'm going to add our canola oil. And all these get whisked together. And we're going to add in our dry ingredients. It's just sifted flour, cocoa, and our leaveners. And then these all get whisked by hand, so on days when it's holidays and we have a million cupcakes to make, it's a nice arm workout to get. So I'm going to let that sit for a minute, and then we'll just scoop up a tray. And we use a different scoop for every cake recipe, so this just happens to be a blue scoop. I'll make a nice big cupcake with a big dome on it. Alright, That makes a few less in the pan, and then I'll get that in the oven. And that's it.
Support for WGVU Digital Studios Order Up, provided by Spartan Nash. Spartan Nash, taking food places. More at SpartanNash.com.
Well, that's all we have for West Side Stories this week. You guys will see me next semester. I will be back, but Reagan, on the other hand, has another journey for her.
I will be continuing my journalism career at 9 and 10 News as a reporter in Cadillac, Michigan. So make sure you tune in if you're ever in northern Michigan. But it truly has been a great year here at West Side Stories. A big thank you to everyone involved. It's been great hosting with Callie as well as Preston. And a big thank you to our executive producer. So signing off for the very last time, I'm Reagan Busse.
And I'm Callie Hubbard. We still have one show for the semester, and we'll see you next week.
West Side Stories is produced by students from the Multimedia Journalism program at Grand Valley State University. Support also comes from the School of Communications, inspiring thought, perfecting practice.